you enlisted when you were 17. What was it like during that time?
Well, it wasn't like the Army today. I mean, it was tough. I mean, when you went through basic, your drill sergeant, so you didn't pamper you and say, you didn't tell them, I'm going to tell Mama that you made me do something. They kick you in the rear with their boot, and there's nothing you could do about it. Nobody go against you. That was in 1937. I enlisted. My mother signed the papers for me to get in the service on September the 13th, 1937.
2 years before the war.
Yeah. So then I was enlisted in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. It was known then as the Military Police and Garden Service, which did the policing of the post, Fort Leavenworth. So I was there long enough. I made sergeant there. I remember that. Well, I made corporal and then sergeant. But I was fortunate enough, but I did get a promotion there. And then, of course, after that, they sent me out to Salinas, California, for infantry training, and I'd hurt my leg out there, so they'd sent me back to Fort Leavenworth. Well, in the meantime, they'd asked for volunteers for the paratroopers, which was something new. You know, they didn't have paratroopers before then. So anyhow, I got selected and went to Fort Benning, Georgia. Took my training there and made my initial practice jumps and all the training that went with it. And it was rough. I can remember our commander when we get a weekend off, he'd say, go to town and get in a fight and get in jail.
And why would you say that?
Well, they wanted you to be tough, you know, because they knew that they could get you out of it, you know, because you wasn't doing anything. You just wanted to go and start a fight and show them how tough you really was from the training. So we did that, and then eventually they sent us overseas, and we went into North Africa against Rommel. And from there they sent us to Italy, Sicily first, and then Italy. And then they pulled us out of there and sent us to England. I can remember when we went there, and we was in England for quite a while and did our training and kept practice jumping and that in England. Then they'd load us on a plane and say, be prepared to go. And we sat on that. The first time they put us on the plane, we sat there 5 hours. I can remember that just plain. Because you sat in a C-47 and there's no room. You're sitting side by side on a bench. So then they pulled us off. The weather got bad. And they did that about 3 or 4 times. And then finally they put us on a plane and give us, each one of us, a fifth of whiskey. I remember that. I was just a young punk. And you get about half plastered, and all at once he said, we're leaving. Well, we didn't know where we was going until we got up in the air. Then they told them this is D-Day, we're going in Normandy. So our pilot, I don't know whether he's scared or whether he's an idiot or what, but then we overshot to Normandy by 8 or 9 miles. And he gave us a jump signal when the green light came on for us to jump. And we jumped and had to walk back to Normandy 9 miles through the hedgerows and over our dead buddies. And you'd see them laying everywhere. And you couldn't stop to help them because you knew the medics were behind. And so you'd see your friends that had jumped. We weren't the only plane that happened to, but you'd see them like on the steeples of the church or on top of a building or hanging from trees. It was pretty rough, but you had to keep going. You knew what your job was and you had to do it. So anyhow, after we secured Normandy, well, we went up through some of the smaller towns, and then we secured Paris, and then we boarded the planes again, and after we secured some of the towns, they give us a R&R 3 days in Paris. Well, it's kind of, anxiety was kind of skeptic because you didn't know whether the Germans were still there or what. But anyhow, after we come back off of that, they put us on a plane again, and we went to Metz and over the Remagen Bridge to secure it for our troops to come across the Remagen Bridge. They pulled us out of there. We went to Metz, and Holland, up in Holland, Maastricht, I think, Maastricht, Holland or something. It's been so long ago, I don't remember too much about that. But then we made several other jumps. And in all, we count my practice jumps and my combat jumps, I made 48 jumps. But then I worked with a general and me and another master sergeant, and we jumped in on the Battle of Bulge. Then I got my hands and legs and stuff frozen, and I don't remember too much after that, except that they pulled us back. There were 2 or 3 of us that they pulled back, but I don't even remember the names anymore. It's been so long. So, excuse me. So anyhow, then they pulled us back, and well, a short time after that, I guess, I don't know how long it was, but anyhow, they didn't even take us to the first aid station, and they just pulled you back to camp. And first aid took care of you then. So then, I got enough points to get out of the service, and so they sent back to States. So in November, I think it was November 1945, I got out of the Army because my family kept saying, get out, get out, get out, you did enough. So anyhow.
Did you feel you did enough? Did you want to stay?
I wanted to stay, but then they just kept pressuring me, on that. So anyhow, I joined the reserves, and I got out of the reserves in 1958.